All right, let's talk about something that can be a real source of anxiety for any homeowner: furnace installation. If you've ever had that nightmare thought of your heat dying in the middle of a blizzard, you know exactly what I mean. So today, we're going to break it all down. We're going to make this whole complex process simple and clear. Let's jump right in.
Man, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of being completely helpless when it's freezing outside and your home's most vital system just gives up. You know, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a full-blown crisis. And believe me, this happens way more often than you'd think. So just get a load of this number. In a place like Blaine, Minnesota, an incredible 85% of homes end up needing professional furnace installation during the absolute coldest part of the year. That's most people. It's not just some random statistic. It paints a picture of a huge, seasonal problem where people are scrambling for heat when they need it most. And that really brings us to the core issue. When you live in a place with brutal winters, a good, reliable furnace isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a necessity. I mean, it's literally the one thing that stands between your family and dangerously cold temperatures. Failure is just not an option. Okay, so how do we make sure we never end up in that icebox situation? Well, the single most important thing you can do is get a professional installation. Seriously, this is not the time for a weekend DIY project. Having a certified pro do the job is the key to being safe, efficient, and honestly, just sleeping well. So what do you really get when you hire a professional? It's so much more than just, getting the heat to turn on. We're talking about really important stuff, like making sure your family is safe, actually saving money in the long run, and making sure the whole setup is legal and up to code. Let's dig into these a little more. First up, and this is a big one, is proper ventilation. A lot of people don't think about this, but it's absolutely critical. Good ventilation isn't just about making the furnace run well. It's a huge safety issue. Especially with gas furnaces, you have to make sure dangerous byproducts, like carbon monoxide, are vented safely outside your home. It's all about keeping your family safe and the air inside your house clean. Next up is something that might sound boring, but it's super important: meeting local building codes. See, every town has its own set of rules for how HVAC systems have to be installed. A professional knows these codes inside and out. This means you won't face any surprise fines, and you'll know the job was done to a recognized safety standard. Plus, it saves you a major headache if you ever decide to sell your house. And here's the part you'll really feel in your wallet. When a furnace is installed by an expert, it runs at its absolute best from the moment it's switched on. It's perfectly tuned, so it uses less fuel to heat your home, and that translates directly to lower energy bills, month after month. Over a few years, those savings can really add up. Okay, so you're on board with hiring a pro. Great. The next big question is, what kind of furnace are you going to install? The right choice really depends on your house, your budget, and what's most important to you. Let's check out the two main options. And here it is, the main event: gas versus electric furnaces. Each one has its own set of pros and cons. So we're going to put them head to head and look at the things that matter most, like how efficient they are and how much they cost, to help you figure out which one is the right move for you. This chart gives us a really clear picture of efficiency. On one side, you've got modern gas furnaces, which are amazingly efficient. We're talking up to 98%. That means only 2% of the energy is wasted. Pretty incredible. Then you have electric furnaces. They're technically 100% efficient because every single bit of electricity they use gets turned directly into heat. So let's talk gas furnaces. It's pretty straightforward. They burn natural gas to create heat, and then a blower sends that warm air through the ducts in your house. They're super common for a reason, and the technology has come a really long way. Let's look at the different kinds you can get. The easiest way to think about gas furnaces is like a good, better, best kind of deal. The basic model is a single-stage furnace. It's kind of like a light switch. It's either on full blast or it's off. A step up is the two-stage, which is more like a dimmer switch with a high and a low setting for more even heating. And then you have the top-of-the-line modulating furnace. That one's like a super smart dimmer that makes tiny adjustments, giving you the most consistent and comfortable temperature. Now, let's flip over to electric furnaces. These work by using big heating elements, kind of like a giant toaster, to warm up the air. The biggest wins for electric? Well, they're incredibly clean since there's no flame and no combustion, which means zero risk of carbon monoxide. They have a fantastic safety record. When you look at the standout features for electric furnaces, a couple things really jump out. First, their lifespan is amazing. They can last 20, even 30 years with good care. They also need less maintenance than a gas system, and because there's no combustion, they're great for maintaining really high indoor air quality. They're often the go-to choice in places where natural gas isn't available. Now listen, just buying a high-efficiency furnace is only half the story. If you really want to get the most bang for your buck and see those heating bills plummet, you have to think about the whole system. And this is where professionals' expertise is a total game changer. It's so important to understand that peak efficiency is about way more than just the furnace itself. It's really a whole home thing. If a furnace is too big or too small for your house, it's going to waste energy. If the thermostat is in a bad spot, it'll get false readings. And if your windows and doors are leaky, well, you're basically just paying to heat the neighborhood. A pro looks at all of this stuff to make sure your system works perfectly. All right, so the new furnace is in, it was installed perfectly, and your house is warm. Awesome. Now, how do you protect that big investment and make sure it runs like a champ for years and years? The answer is super simple: maintenance. And the good news is, the maintenance isn't complicated. Look, the number one most important thing any homeowner can do is just change the air filter regularly. I'm talking every 3 months, maybe even more if you have pets. Beyond that, just get a professional to come in once a year to give it a tune-up. That'll catch any small issues before they turn into huge, expensive disasters. And what's the payoff for doing that little bit of maintenance? Well, just look at these numbers. With proper care, a gas furnace will give you a solid 15 to 20 years of service. But check out the electric furnace. It can keep going for 20 to 30 years. That simple, regular upkeep directly adds years to the life of your system. It's a no-brainer. So we've definitely covered a lot of ground here. Let's boil it all down to the absolute must-know takeaways. First, professional installation is non-negotiable. Do it for safety, do it for efficiency. Second, gas furnaces are powerful and highly efficient, while electric ones are super durable and clean running. And finally, don't forget that simple, regular maintenance is what's going to protect your investment for the long haul. So we'll end on this question because after everything we've gone over, it's really the only one that matters before the cold weather hits. Is your furnace ready for winter's worst? Because taking care of it now is what will keep you from being stuck in that ice box later. Thanks for joining me.